Hi folks, let's talk a little bit in health and safety about Workplace Hazardous Material Information System known as Whmis. This is all part of our keeping our workplace a healthy work environment, keeping it healthy, and part of having a healthy work environment is making sure that people know what to do or to reduce contact with hazardous materials. So we have to make sure that companies take care to control the use of toxic substances in their workplace. So somebody from the human resources area, a health and safety officer, is usually responsible for that. And some of the toxic substances that we can have are things like the ones we have in here. And what we need to do is we need to recognize some of these symbols, because these symbols are pasted or glued on to some of the areas or some of the materials in our work environment. So we need to know that they're trying to tell us that it's toxic and that it's hazardous, right? So three of the components to making up a workplace hazardous material information system is labeling hazardous material containers, using materials safety data sheets, and training employees. So these are all examples of labels that you would find on hazardous materials or material containers. So this one is a sign that we have compressed gas. This is one that shows you that the material that's inside is combustible or flammable. This one is hazardous, so you don't want to come into contact with it. It's infectious, it causes infection, and it can probably kill you. And this is poisonous, right? So again, there's other toxic effects in here, but it's poisonous material in here as well, so you know to stay away and not touch it. Some other symbols that you see is we have materials that oxidize, so they can cause a fire. Again, these again are poisonous or infectious materials that cause immediate and serious effects. So in other words, it can cause death. Maybe we have some reactive materials or radioactive materials, and this means we have corrosive materials, so that if they spill on you, they can burn you, or they can cause inflammation or other problems, skin disease or rashes and that kind of stuff. So again, these are symbols that sometimes suppliers will put on their materials, but if your company is buying these and putting them into some of the equipment that you're using, then that equipment should have these symbols pasted onto it so that the employees know that it's toxic and I have to be careful. Right? Another thing we look at when we talk about ergonomics and we talk about keeping your workplace healthy and safe is we talk a little bit about repetitive stress injury. We talked about that a little bit in terms of typing. So if you're at your desk using a keyboard, you're on a laptop, whatever, sometimes repetitive stress, particularly in your wrist, means that you're going to have some problems later on. Some of the problems are activity related to soft tissue injuries. That's what repetitive stress is. So it can aggravate your soft tissue and cause injury to it. So employers need to make sure that they advise and train workers about repetitive strain injury and assess the risk factors. So again, trying to make sure that you keep your keyboards a certain distance from your wrist, and that your wrists are well positioned around the keyboard, and encourage people to report repetitive strain injury symptoms early enough so that you can get some advice and some help on how you can set up your workstation a little bit better. And part of the study, or the part of health and safety that looks at repetitive stress injury and other ergonomic issues, is the study of ergonomics, and it's about fitting the work equipment to the worker. Okay, so if you sit at computers a lot, okay, you're going to come up with a strain on your eyes, not just your wrists, but your eyes as well, as I said, even your legs. You know, if you stay with your legs, your thighs, resting against the chair, you can cut off circulation, that kind of thing. And those things are going to be more important as the workforce ages, to make sure that you're sitting at your workstation in a way that doesn't aggravate injury to your body. Okay, so that concludes our section on workplace hazardous material information systems, as well as repetitive strain injury. And then we're going to get into occupational health and safety challenges in Canada, and then into mental challenges with stress, job stress.